It was a crisp autumn evening when Ben and his friends decided to take a trip into the woods. They had planned it for weeks, a camping getaway to escape the chaos of the city life. The forest was just outside the small town of Dunsmore, a place Ben had visited many times as a child. The trees towered over the path, their branches cracking in the wind, and the smell of a pine filled the air. It was the perfect setting for a weekend of quiet and relaxation. But something felt off this time. As the sun began to dip behind the trees, casting long shadows across the forest floor, they set up camp by a small bubbling creek. The group joked around, cooking their meals and talking about old memories. The sounds of nature were the only backdrop to their laughter. That is, until the sun had completely set. Ben noticed it first, a faint, distant laugh, almost like a child giggling. He turned to his friends, but they hadn't heard anything. He laughed it off, thinking it was just the wind or perhaps an animal making odd noises. But as the evening went on, the laughter grew louder, more distinct. At first it was soft and playful, but then it started to change, becoming more high-pitched, more manic. Ben felt his spine tingle. He could see the unease in his friends' faces, but no one said anything. They continued with their stories and trying to ignore it. Later that night, as they sat around the campfire, the laughter returned. This time, it was unmistakable. It was like a child laughing but twisted. The sound was high-pitched and cruel, like someone was enjoying other fears. Ben felt his heart race. He stood up, scanning the trees around them, but saw nothing. "Who's messing up with us?" he asked, trying to make light of the situation, but no one responded. They were all staring into the darkness. "Stop playing around," Ben said, his voice shaking, but the laughter didn't stop. In fact, it seemed to be getting closer, circling them. It was as if the woods themselves were mocking them, closing in with every burst of that chilling sound. Ben's friend Sarah was the first to suggest they should leave. "This isn't normal," she said, her voice trembling. "We should go back to the car." But before they could pack up, something strange happened. His temperature dropped suddenly, and the laughter turned into something more sinister. It now sounded like an adult voice, deeper, crueler. It echoed around them, impossible to pinpoint. Then they heard a loud snap, like something heavy stepping on a branch. Ben's blood ran cold. Someone or something was out there. In the dead silence that followed, Ben slowly began to feel the air shift. The trees seemed to loom over them, blocking out the moonlight. He turned to his friends, all of them frozen in terror. Without a word, they grabbed their bags and started running. But the sound of the laughter followed them, relentless and deafening. The group ran down the trail, panic surging through them. But no matter how fast they ran, the laughter was always there. Just behind them, they reached the edge of the woods, where the light from the parking lot finally gave them a sense of safety. But when they turned to look back at the woods, they saw something that made their blood run cold. There, standing in the shadows, was a figure. It was a tall, gaunt man with hollow eyes, his face hidden in the darkness, his mouth twisted into a grin, and his laughter, that same twisted, horrible laugh, echoed through the trees. Ben's stomach lurched. That wasn't a man. That was something else. The next day, Ben tried to forget about the nightmarish experience. He didn't speak to his friends about it, hoping that maybe it had all been some collective hallucination, but deep down, he knew it wasn't. A week later, Ben's curiosity got the better of him. He went to the town's local library and started digging through old records about the forest. The librarian, an old woman with sharp eyes, noticed him browsing through the books. "What do you need, young man?" she asked. I was looking for some information on the woods near Dunsmore," Ben said, his voice faltering. She stiffened. "Why would you want to know about that place?" Ben hesitated, unsure if he should tell her. "There's something there," he admitted. "We heard laughter. We saw something. Something wasn't right at all." The librarian's face paled. She leaned closer, lowering in her voice. "Those woods are cursed. A long time ago, a group of children went missing there, and their bodies were never found. People say their spirits still roam the woods. Some say they never left. What you heard, that wasn't laughter. It was them, trapped between this world and the next, looking for someone to join them." Ben felt the room spin. The laughter, the figure in the woods, it all made sense now. It was never just a trick of the mind. The evil in those woods were real, and it wasn't finished with them yet. After that day, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Everywhere he went, he felt eyes on him. The laughter echoed in his mind, growing louder with each passing day. Days after this horrific event, his sleep became restless, haunted by nightmares of the figure in the woods. Even to this day, the laughter still filled his ears, louder than ever. What would you do if you heard the laughter in the woods? Would you run? Or would you listen, knowing something is coming for you?